Lightning Loop Cross, Quickstar, Gallant, and Black Bull are like the choice vehicles, but it's very, very hard to use Black Bull. Quickstar I'm not too familiar with, but Gallant, like non-side attack, is a lot more fun for me just because I'm not good enough to do the side attacking cleanly. Because it is pretty difficult with the very narrow roads. You're gonna want to squeeze the like opposing trigger on the MTS, or same side trigger on the MTS in order to not die there. You can do a rail slide and a reverse rail slide there, like a rear end rail slide. Also one there, but I don't know if it saves time. I don't think it does. Doing that part's kind of tricky. If you like opted for side attacks, you just side attack that thing. This part you can just do one turn and then use the analog stick to like adjust the radius. I messed that up, as you can see, because I did die. Trying to like demonstrate the various turning radiuses you can do with Gallant, but if you do want to do side attacks, which most players do, even outside of Japan, I know there's a couple that prefer non-side attack play, which is why I'm mentioning them. But you would MTS chain throughout that first loop, and while exiting that part, you could also get a shift boost there, and you would MTS chain this segment as well. But MTS chaining on this track is quite difficult, because it's a lot like narrower than it seems. Like it's like, oh, these are wide ass roads right here. No, they're not. Either way, on boost laps, you could do an MTS here, like low angle like that, through the refiller. And there's a shift boost you can get. Ah, there. I didn't get it. But if you time it right with their boosting, you can get a shift boost there, and then you would do an MTS afterwards. Or an MTS chain if you want to continue into that, but it's... If you get the shift boost, it's hard as fuck to MTS there. Since you don't have like energy at this point on lap 3, I just go for an MTS. And then use what little bit you have left to boost. It's not worth it to do the refiller MTS if you use this boost route though. And there is a suicide finish on this track, but it's probably the hardest one in the game. So usually I just MTS to the finish like that. Because the way the tunnel's shaped and how there's a turn into it, it makes it extremely inconsistent. It requires a lot of precision. With Black Bull, you follow a very similar like boost route, except on lap 2 you'd still want to MTS that second loop, like the first horizontal helix. And you can still do the vertical curve MTS with Black Bull and Gallant. On lap 3, you'd want to do it during this set part. Now with Black Bull here, but rather than just do an MTS into this long turn here, I usually find it's better to MTS chain beforehand. Like if I MTS chain into it once or twice. And with both of them, I line up the left side of the vehicle with the line. See, there's a line. There's like on the left side of the boost plate, there's like a dark line. I would line up with that. It's easier to get the shift boost there on that curve with Black Bull. It's still like kind of hard to follow through with. exit. And then this part is very difficult, so even if I had boost power, I would still MTS here. But I would just boost on the exit. You can make like a setup for that shift boost based on how much speed you have exiting that MTS after the tunnel. If you just look at your speedometer and like if you usually exit with like a similar amount of speed, a similar amount of speed, you can like hit like boost when the speedometer gets like, I don't know, like for me it's like 1270 kilometers an hour is what I would do with Blackpool. But if you MTS differently than I do, then it would be a different number for you. It's much harder to get like a good opener with Blackpool here. That's new. I've never seen that. But the idea is the same. Anyways, the vertical curve MTS, which is what I wanted to demonstrate. You would essentially start in MTS after this boost ends and try and hug the right wall. I was going a lot slower, so I couldn't really do it. But you basically do that throughout the entire loop. And yeah, on this, that part there you need a shift boost, but it's hard as shit. And that's like the hardest part of this track is like MTS chaining without hitting walls and those shift boosts. You can do something like that. On lap 2 though, you start the lap with a lot of energy, so you can just boost into it. You don't need to worry about doing like a vertical MTS like that. It's not faster if you have energy.